Hello everyone. I think we've gathered enough people so we can start. Hi Matt. Hi Jingwen. Hello. Long time no see. Yes. Okay, so for the students as well, if you would like to turn on your videos and be part of, so we can like see your faces and know who's talking, thank you. Hi Isabel. Oh, I'm loving your background. Very, very, very fancy. Okay, so the way we'll do this, I'm going to give a very short introduction into what the workshop was and why I wanted to do this, and then maybe the people that weren't part of the workshop, so dear friends that joined from all over the place that are going to give you feedback after this can maybe introduce themselves, and after that we're going to go through like the group presentations, and we're just going to have a discussion around what you've been doing over the past week. It shouldn't be super stressful, so I hope you guys aren't completely dying and are not really worried about this. Nothing's gonna be crazy. We're just going to maybe enhance a little bit the conversation that we've been having over the past week. Thumbs up, are we good? Hi Edo. Okay, so this gang is a thumbs upper. Wow, now we have a clap, that's new. I've not seen the clap before. Thank you. New emoji reactions. Okay, so I will share my screen and go a little bit through the introduction presentation. Okay, so I've been doing a little hackathon, and the topic, or what I wanted to kind of prove, is that you can use low-code tools in order to build industry disrupting products rather than needing to be like super advanced with technology in order to actually make an impact. Okay, so I'm just going to introduce myself really quickly. So I have a very small research and development studio that is called Office Nom. So I basically use a bunch of mixed tech in order to develop different products, be them rather like architecture and construction industry or all the way to the fashion industry. I'm currently also working with a Toronto-based fashion tech startup called The Fitting Room, which basically creates a digital twin of yourself, and then we produce made-to-fit apparel. Okay, so in one word, I would describe myself as a creative hacker, meaning that I just take information from all sorts of different industries and then I try to bring them together in order to develop products and make things happen. Now, I kind of like wanted to put the span of what I do into one slide. So we go from startups to teaching and to business, and that's because to me they're all extremely interconnected, and I don't really see teaching without actually being in the industry and trying to build things, build products and create impact, and neither the other way around. So having this as a basis, this is where my interest comes from in actually teaching a hackathon. And teaching something that is more applied, and it's trying to kind of bring a little bit of the business world and of the startup world back into design or architecture teaching, so we can gain a little bit more of an applied perspective on things. So, the hackathon. The topic for this hackathon was non-standard production, and the challenge was to try to build flexible manufacturing ecosystems. So we tried to focus a little bit on manufacturing management and production coordination, or this was the initial topic. We ended up looking into different directions, as you'll see when the students present their work. But I chose the word flexibility as means to think about redistributing resources that businesses might already have in order to achieve a task, or to change a task in response to surrounding factors, because to me flexibility in whatever you do is potentially the most important thing that's going to ensure the survival of an ecosystem, of a business, of a startup, and so forth. So in 1 week, basically, I try to walk the students from structured research into teaching them how to look at markets and how to find problems, how to find clients. And then I've been showing them some basic computer vision and machine learning tools. It's been basically a sprint where they kind of went through the whole startup process and obviously developed something that's at a small scale, because the time's very limited. But I really wanted to try to push how much you can teach someone that doesn't really have neither a business or a tech background in 1 week, and how we can actually change that perspective into looking at applied things. So I've been using flipped learning and the website that we've been developing in HKU with the Building Complexity Lab, meaning that instead of having the technical tutorials as live sessions, I've been sending them all the tech stuff as doing your own time kind of materials, and then we've been using the live sessions in order to discuss, to pitch ideas, and to figure out what they're actually doing with their startup ideas or with the business side of things. And this comes because I truly believe that tech is just a tool, and we shouldn't be focusing on tech or on buzzwords necessarily, but we should be focusing on why we're doing what we're doing and what sort of problems we're interested in. Okay, so they've had both individual tasks and group tasks. The individual tasks, they were mainly in the beginning, and tech tasks. So the first task they had on day one was to find a client. Each one of them kind of went and they started doing a little bit of research and thinking who they would like to cater to. And this was before they knew they would be working in groups. I did that because I wanted them to each identify an interest and then form groups based on those said interests, rather than kind of like forcing them into random groups. Then they had two other tasks which were purely tech, so to kind of get the OpenCV to Grasshopper workflow working, and then the YOLO V7 to Grasshopper workflow working. And I'll explain how we did that, because I gave them an almost plugin that I built last autumn in HKU. So that's meant to kind of like streamline these workflows rather than them having to gain like a lot of tech knowledge in order to be able to use them. Then the group tasks, they had a small pitch, the first pitch they had on day 3, where they had to start to understand how to put together these presentations, and it was their first presentation into groups, in their groups. And obviously task 5 is what they're going to be presenting today, the startup idea and a demo of any shape, form, and complexity using the tech that I've been showing them. So the OpenCV to Grasshopper workflow, this is what the Almost plugin does, meaning that I basically built a destringify component for Grasshopper, which takes all the data from OpenCV and Python into strings and then deconstructs it into Grasshopper. It's being sent via IP. And then from that string, you can convert everything back into geometry and 3D data into Grasshopper. And then the YOLO V7 basically does the exact same thing, but instead of detecting colors or edges, it detects objects. And then you can pick your classes from this stringify component and so forth. So this is so people don't actually have to go and try to build their own process. You can just get everything and then sort out. Like, you don't even need to learn how to select classes on the YOLO V7 side. You can just select the classes in Grasshopper, which is obviously not as fast, but we're working on it. Okay, so the goal of this was that I wanted to prove, or to open up the idea that anyone can build a startup, that you do not need the tech skills, you don't need to be an engineer. Generally people get quite intimidated when we talk about startups because they think they need to be super high tech and super high skilled, and I wanted to make it quite clear that startups are not about tech. They're not about the buzzwords, but they're about finding real problems. and they're about people, they're about how we work with communities and how we improve processes. So the message of this hackathon was that we all have the skills, but we need a shift in perception, and this is what the goal or the aim of the past week has been. We'll see how well or how much this has been communicated once the students actually present, but this was the intention. So this is all on my side. I would maybe give the floor to the people that have been invited, maybe like introduce themselves, say hi to the students as well, so they know that you're not super scary and they're not afraid to talk. And then the students can present. Come on guys, don't be shy as well. That's the student's job. Hey, so just because I forgot to tell you guys before, the main reason these people are here today is because all of them more or less started from architecture and then they went into various other directions. So I wanted you to have a basis of kind of like what you can do afterwards, or the fact that from like your architecture skills are transferable and you can end up doing whatever else you can imagine or dream of after this. And it's nice to have like all these people kind of share their comments and feedback from like on this path that you kind of started within this week. Okay, so now with courage, I'm not quite sure what the group order is at the end, but I will leave this up to you guys. We're listening, the screen sharing is turned on, we're ready. I'm prepared to wait for a couple minutes though, knowing knowing them from this week. Do we need a poll? Do we need to continue the tradition and start with a poll to see who's actually presenting first? Okay, I'm nominating group 4. You guys are always ready. Just let's go. There's nothing else you can achieve in the next 2 minutes.
China. Chinese cities generate about 360 million tons of trash annually, but the treatment plant can only dispose 160 million tons, and only 38 million tons are recyclable. Among them, only 50% of the waste belongs to big furniture. Therefore, nearly 30 million tons of furniture are left there without like any treatment annually. And the third problem would be the abandoned furniture is harmful to human and the environment due to their complex and diverse composition and various harmful substances. That if you want to dispose your furniture, there are 3 ways. The first one will be sell it on different platforms. And the second one will be try to recycle them, which you go to the official government organizations, or there are private professional cleaners for that. And the third option will be secretly and illegally throw it away. Where are they now? Where are these furnitures? And as observed, even though you dispose them properly, due to the previous mentioned problem, they're still mounted somewhere as shown, like the fourth line of it. And the others are different conditions, like how when they recycle, this is how it works. And even though they're recycled by the government or you secretly throw away, it is always somewhere on the street. The ideal solution for us is to recycle, and however, but the process of recycling is highly ineffective now. So we show here is the timeline of end of life furnitures. It took approximately 90 days to complete the whole process from your decision to throw to to the recycled furniture made into new furnitures. So in day one, you decide to throw, and you have like 3 ways to throw away, as mentioned. If you choose to recycle, it's either collected by the garment cleaner or the professional cycler, and you will automatically transfer to the treatment plant. And the process here is remain problematic because of the inefficiency. And after you transferred, there are ways to categorize and calculate how much to clean and transport, and divide different category into five different process. And if the materials are recyclable, they will shred the usable materials into pieces and create composite components and assemble them into new furnitures. And the last 3 steps creates problems because there's always bigger amounts of the materials cannot be recycled, and it will create much waste and problems. So these are the current problems and the challenges, which include that no one to collect the abandoned furniture on the street, or either there are like really low non-management times, and only few parts are truly salvaged, and inefficient treatment process, which will create like 4 according different perspectives, a different problem perspective. And this is how it looks on the street right now or in the treatment plant. So this problem indicated what Refurniture is looking to solve, which is improve the efficiency of the recycling process. We want to recycle and salvage the materials before they become redundant and to repurpose them into new furnitures. When people left furnitures without management, the furnitures will be left to naturally decay due to their complex composition. The materials used in the furnitures have different and significant. Some of them have significantly long time to decay, as shown in the diagrams. And based on the previous research, we look into 3 areas in this project, which is how to collect them, how to measure them, and how to reuse them. Furnitures can start in the process of furniture manufacturing and saving time, and improve. The main aim is to improve the time efficiency and recycling rate of the process of repurposing furnitures from originally like current 15.5% to our refurniture percentage 75%. This project provides an economy and beneficial solution for both the people like us trying to dispose the furnitures and the furniture markets. So the furniture market is still a big pie to split. Due to the research, it owns $587 billion in 2023, and in 2027 it will increase to $726 billion. In this market, IKEA occupy about 48% of it. So take IKEA as an example. The process from product development to delivery to the customer are showcased like this. And this project is aims to tackle the material and the production part of it. We rearrange this process by recycling, checking conditions, identify recyclable pieces, and match and assemble based on the library. The process from before, the current condition is manual process of collecting, categorizing, deassembling, and furnitures will rearrange this and with computation power to make this process and make the resources more efficiently used. So as what we can provide with refurnitures, client can obviously save money, produce low-cost, unique, aesthetical furniture design, and manufacture environmental-friendly products in a more efficient and economic way, and have a larger share of the furniture market. And the customer can get rewards by just simply trading their hard to deal with old furniture, and will be offered can buy affordable, environmentalistic, and unique furniture. And there's also a benefit for the city, which they will have when they remove the furniture, they can have more spacious public space. And also the city's government can reduce the cost spending on the clean industry and processing the big furniture. Currently, furniture manufacturers spend 45% of the product cost on processing the recycled materials. And in our project, this could be reduced to 10%. So here will be our solution.
First, to introduce the overview of how to refurniture, there's two parallel processes, and these two processes will finally match the resemble and collective, resemble and match the collective one and the standard one. Next page. Next page. First step, recycle and reward citizens based on the value and condition of the furniture. Next page. Then the collective furniture will go to the check stage. We'll disassemble, scan, record, material detection, dimension check, and damage check. Next page. The tag we implement here is dimension measurement that measures the area of one surface by the ratio of it in the background. Next page. And it's the display of how it works. Next page. For the material dictation, we should prepare a training data set in YOLO v7, including woods, metals, glasses, and plastics materials that can be reused, and train the machine to recognize the materials. Next page. Due to the time limit, I only try YOLO v7 without setting specific data set, and you can see that it has a low identification rate for these materials, and it can identify me as a person, but it can't identify the wooden plate due to the lack of data set. Next page. In the other parallel process, we will classify and establish library of recycled components. Next page. The standard furniture in the library is split into plate or stick components for better matching and collective components. Next page. For the traditional recycling process of IKEA, the collective wooden furniture components will be all crushed into sawdust and then made into plywood plate. Our new process mode focus on make the most use of collective items. We will reuse the part which can be used again, and then the rest part can also go inside the traditional mode to crush into sawdust and then made it into plywood plate. This mode reduces the production process and improves the utilization rate of the materials. Next page. The last step to match is to match the collective components with the target one in the library, and we will set an algorithm and mechanism to make the most use of collective components. Next page. For the components match, we will first match the standard components to the smallest rectangle plate fitted to it, and then match the rectangle plate to the suitable collective components. Next page. And we also find another solution that might do better. We can use Rhino plugin named OpenNest, and it can test if one component can fit into the target case. And that's all of our demonstration.
Well, I can start. I think it's interesting that we started with this one because this is a very similar direction to a lot of the stuff I do day to day, my work here. So that's very fun. I definitely came across some of the same challenges that we hit. A couple of questions, I guess, from the middle of this. I guess I was a little unsure who the main customer would be in this case, if it was like the furniture companies or the city, or both, if it's not specifically one or the other. But yeah, who would like directly paying for this?
I think it would be the factory. The furniture factory will pay for it because they will earn money from. I hope they will earn money from it, and also they will maybe some bonus or reward from the city council to the furniture factory because they do good for the environment.
And I think that last part is realistically would be a necessity, because I mean, no matter what scale you work at, be it buildings or furniture, what have you, like this kind of component level recycling reuse is always going to take a lot more human effort. Like you've made this match between like one of the parts you found and one from the catalog you can cut it down to, and you know, say you found 500 of those matches between all furniture you've collected. Maybe the cutting itself could be automated, but still people need to manage the movement between the different warehouses and fetching the individual pieces, and so it there's a lot more, say, paycheck costs that start going into this process. And so definitely in the near term, I think it needs some incentives to external incentives to make sense. But that's just always the case in this kind of reuse world. Yeah, there's a couple major points that I had. I like seeing this at this scale. This is interesting.
Thank you for your comments. Thank you.
Can I speak? First of all, congratulations, because it's really impressive to develop this kind of project in 1 week. Having in mind that you are not coming from the startup environment and you have to think about to create to target the problem, to identify who is the client and what are the problems you are addressing. I think that the problem is really clear, is really well constructed. Even though the put in practice could be more complex because you have several things in the market that you have to coordinate. For example, who are the people who are going to collect the furniture, who are the people who are going to dispose to be classified, the elements, and so on. But for me, it's really clear what you are addressing. I really like the project. Congratulations.
I was thinking this project is really nice, and also the most important thing, I was thinking the match data, the collected data to the target one is a really good idea. But I also have a question. If when you have the form and also when you get the piece, if have the hole or something, have them damaged, how you can to see, oh, this is a good one, we can collect it. But if it's not okay, it's damaged too much, how you can say this one we can recycle? If that makes sense?
Yes. We in the process we ask you like damage check conditions. So as you mentioned, there will be like more different types of damages, which will like kind of like parts are salvageable or parts are not salvageable. So for the part that's salvageable, that it could be either reshaped into new pieces to fit the target piece, or if there's no like such a piece that you can match, you will be shredded into and composed to a new composite material.
Oh yeah. So maybe I was thinking maybe you can, when you to further research about this part, maybe you can to highlight this point, and also your software and your idea is also can to have a really clearly about the damage about this piece, if that one should be to recycle or not. So that is makes sense for the others, for the IKEA or some others company to think about, oh, this one is necessary or not necessary. It will be save time and save the precise, right? So yeah, but I really like this idea. And also if I Arcadia, I will want to have this function.
Thank you.
Yeah, I also think that it's pretty impressive that you made all this in a week. I think that the whole structure of the pitch is very clear, and the idea is like simple and neat. I think you applied it in a very interesting way. And I think that it would be nice to see a link between the first production of the pieces, like for standardizing parts, or a link that you can make with between the producers and yourself in order to make the process easier, or possibilities in collaboration. And also maybe a result of what has been done with those repurposed pieces. But yep, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We can go next. Yes, I grabbed it from my classmates. Sorry, the PowerPoint is not moving. This is group 5, and please allow us to present our proposal of improving the second industry labor training process. And we want to build a system that combined with AR, VR technology to improve the efficiency of the training process, increasing the training experience, help organizing and monitoring if there are error operations and emergencies. And we want to share the background information, the current situation and problem of the factories that I have right now. In today's highly industrialized society, many institutions need to train their employees to operate machines, not only limited to heavy facilities, from cranes to cutting machines, any machines that somehow contains fragile components or to some extent being dangerous or can cause harm to humans, all needs to be trained. And for the traditional ways of training the employees, and since it is very common that having 50 to 70, even 70 people at the same time and to being trained in a one physical environment, and also needs other laborers to train the new employees. So the experience of the training for the individuals may not be that good, and it is less entertaining for them to have being trained. And also it can be time costly, and also low efficient, since there are many there are large amount of people are being trained at the same time, and also it can be labor and training costly. And our clients are faced to the factories that need to largely rely on lots of laborers operating machines. For example, the factories that produce electronic devices, for example, computers, phones, etc. And if we combine with the virtual reality or an augmented reality, and since it is virtual, so it is not limited to geographical condition. And since if the system once being built up, it can be used unlimited times and can be reusable and repayable. So it can be cost effective. And one system can be used unlimited times for millions of employees or people or users or people or students, etc. And since also it can be virtual, and also combined with the technology, it can be provide a more immersive experience, so that the individuals can have a better experience. And one more that is noticeable, that this system can have a real-time feedback and of whether the employees or the students having a good gesture or not, operating correctly or not. And we want to take the electronic device production process as one of the examples to show how why this system is important, and how we're going to realize it. And we want to take the computer producing process as one of the example. And computers combined with needs hardware and software, assembling, the packaging. And this is the diagram. This is the diagram of the process for manufacturing the computer. And it truly has to some extent, there are parts of the process already can be done all by machine, but meanwhile there are also many parts of process needs lots of laborers to operate the machines manually. It cannot be entirely be done by the machine, automatically be done by the machine. And for example, assembling the motherboard can be automatically typed by the SMT equipment, while assembling the motherboard and the HDKs together to become the computer needs to be manually operated by the machine. And this is another example of producing mass production of a machine, but while needs lots of labor to operate the machine. And how are we going to realize this system? And we want to take the workshop training as an example. And a workshop and is many architecture schools have the workshop, and all of the students need to be trained, and so we are all more familiar with that. And this is the example of our school of the workshop training system. For their offsite, we have the online tasks and also the videos to show how to operate these the machines inside the workshop. And on-site training and also involves there are teacher assistants that have gathered a group of students and to be trained and also show us how he or she operate the machine. And during the building the system, we can combine with OpenCV to help us to recognize the different shapes of used materials, including recognize which materials the users are using, and also including and analyzing the shapes of the material that the users are grabbing. Why this is important is because different types of machines have different limitations. Since different types of machines can only deal with limited types of materials, for example, wood, for example, plastic, but while other materials cannot. And also the size of the materials are also important, and the machines cannot be, some machines cannot be deal with too small pieces of the materials, while the other one cannot deal with too thick of materials, etc. And by using this system, the system can provide a real-time reaction and detection of whether the users are grabbing the correct or allowed materials or the size of the materials that can provide feedback. And also we want for the further steps, and we want to use machine learning to help build to help train a database to recognize different types of tools. These are the examples of the existed very common tools that we have in the workshop. But these tools are not that common in the daily life, so it's very common that the database already exists cannot recognize these tools. And this is the videos that we try to use YOLO database to recognize the different types of tools. And also it can recognize the hands and position of the hands and also positions of the tools the students are grabbing. And you can see, as you can see, it has a bounding box. And by labeling the different types of tools images, like telling the computer that this is the pipe cutter, this is the clamp, and this is the air blow gun, etc., etc. And we want to take this standards as one of the example of how machine learning can also help recognize correct operation gestures. For example, this standards, it has rules of the directions of how to get close to from the materials to get close to this standards. It is different from left to right and right to left. And the right-hand side, and these three small images are the trials of we use the OpenCV to recognize the position, and also YOLO to recognize the position of the hands as well as the position of the tools. And this is we want to show the little demo that we currently have, and this this part of the script of Grasshopper is showing and the process of collecting the OpenCV's data and inside into the Grasshopper, into the Rhino, and including the area of the materials, including the position of the tools, including in the position of the hands, etc., etc. And this part of the script is that since after we know the position of the hands, and then we can define the area that of the safety range of, for example, which part, which hands, the position of the hands are defined as safe and which part is not. And then we have the reference of the geometry of the tool, which means it is the reference of suggested tools that it has in the Rhino axis. And this part of the script is showing like it is, and it can like having the notice of to the users, while if the users is doing correctly or not, if it is in the safe place, and then it will show it is no danger, carry on your task. And if it's not, and then it will have the notice that you are now in danger, and please have them reposition the tool. And this is the little demo we have. By using YOLO and OpenCV to recognize by color detections to recognize the position of the hands, and this moving red dots is the hand, and the green box is I defined the area that is defined to be safe. If the red dot is always in the safety space, and then it will show it is no danger. And also we use, for the further steps, we also want to include the rotation of the tools. And yes, and then this is the process of recognizing the hands as well as the position, as well as the direction of the tools we are grabbing. Yeah. And this is, we want to show how we're going to realize the system, and how this is, and the potential of the system can be used in the society. That's all. Thank you.
I only have like one quick comment before I let everyone else comment, because they're gonna have smarter stuff to say than me. I'm really happy you went through the tech process and that you explored that side of things, and I really hope you had fun, because like it's looking really great, and I'm glad you really got to do it and not like focus on, you know, trying to solve everything, but trying to do something that you really enjoy and that's like bringing value to your education. Okay, that's all from me.
Thank you.
All right, well, I can start off again. Very interesting direction, very interesting presentation. Thank you. And I think we are all seeing so far that these sorts of assisted reality, virtual reality, tech-assisted training will definitely be important moving forward. I felt a little bit of a disconnect maybe between kind of how you introduced it and the main example that you gave, just because there are so many possible directions that this could be used in, because you know, start off talking about computer assembly or so on, or large scale manufacture, and then with the specific tech example in woodshop, and the thing is, I feel like those have in some ways very different goals, because if you're looking how to assemble a cell phone, for instance, what you really want is how to do it correctly over time, how to do it efficiently, make the right tools at all points. And whereas, as you were showing with the wood shop, it's a lot of it's about safety, more so. And so I feel like in implementation of this would maybe need a couple more levels for that purpose, because using it in a live scenario, I kind of wonder about like the response time and so on. Like, for instance, if you're using a table star as something when you really want to rely on a computer vision loop to tell you if your hands are about to be in a slightly wrong position. And so maybe this would be as well on top of a virtual reality training, or a working with I don't know, dummy tools or stand-ins in the meantime, where you could move into these more dangerous situations and have it tell you about it, but not in a live scenario. So that is to say, yeah, I mean, I think this there's lots of applications for this, and it's each one will also take a lot of new development on top of that. But yeah, very interesting. Also, one thing I was feeling while I was watching this, and I saw this a little bit with Group 4 as well, is that maybe I wasn't picking up on as much of the background or the argument in the beginning, just because you were presenting us with a lot of facts and a lot of background, and it's, you know, it is all important to get everyone online with the situation. But just so much text on the screen at one time, like I'm trying to read through it and also listen, and it's becomes a lot. So just watch out for that. But yes, thank you.
Thanks for the advice.
Can I go next? Thank you for the presentation. I just working on my startup in the staff of training people outside. It's quite impressive what you have developed. First of all, targeting the problem, and second, to define how to address the problem. The only question I have is, because OpenCV is related to capture images with the camera, how to make the setup with the camera to catch exactly what you wanted to point, right? Because people are moving and you are, as Matt said, a really complex environment. How can you develop this kind of situation and the solution, solving where to put the camera, where to catch the images you are trying to focus, right? But after that, the only thing I can say that is really interesting because it's a real need of the market. Congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah, also congratulations. And I think that you started with a very complex initial idea, and then because of the time, you developed it until this point. And I think that initially it's good to say that it's a work in progress that you've been applying, because up to now, its application seems very nice for people who are just learning to use tools, or like it can be a product that can be acquired by universities where students are learning how to use stuff in the workshop. So it, up to this point, it can even be a possible product, but within its whole scope, it's still missing some parts that for sure can be developed after. But the idea is very interesting. And I think I also agree with Matthew that the both of the presentations have been have had too much text sometimes, so it's hard to follow up. But it's just, it's not a link to the project, just to the presentation.
Thanks for the advice.
Thank you.
I think this topic is have a really potential too, because when I was doing the training about CNC and also water jet and any machines, I was so headache because I need to remember and go through all of the document. But if I have one, actually, for example, the AR app, I can follow the steps by step and to make the training. It will be help my save my time and also let me to follow the steps. And also, I also have the same questions as the before the reverse ask is the logic between the first presentation and also the result. And also maybe I was thinking maybe you can also to think about the further research and also to you can actually these topics definitely need to research and to doing again to doing deeply actually. I think maybe you can to combine with OpenCV or AR, and also you can use phone or something to see it and see it on your phone. It's not only use the camera or something. Maybe it can deeply to use and also when we do the training. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it will be very, like if you decide to continue with this, it will be very interesting to see it applied for assembly because it's something easy to recognize, and like if you show the parts around, you can even link the objects to specific parts of the board, for example. So it's a nice future development, but this has a lot of potential.
Thank you.
And it also, like while learning learning about tools, not a lot of people had an initial, like an initial workshop life where you know what each tool works for. So it's a nice tool for that as well.
Okay, I think that's all of the comments for this project. Thank you so much for sharing. I already sent you my gushing spam on Discord, so I'm going to mainly keep silent so we can move on to the next group. Please no, we're midway. I thought we're over this. Is group number 5 ready? If not, someone that presented can go again.
Well, hello. Sorry, we are the group 1, so maybe I think we can present our topic. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Oh, yeah. Oh, let me share my screen. Oh, can you see it? Hello. Well, our topic is adaptive recyclable furniture rental system. My partner is Xu Fengyue, and my name is Xiangtan He. Well, in Chinese big cities, many young people have to rent housing, starting from the part that has the greatest impact on living environment. We focus on the hand-mounted part of the indoor environment. So how to have a good living environment after paying the rent with a small salary. Actually, after many rounds of research and this discussion, we thought of the idea of building a cochlear furniture rental market. This may be a common business in Europe and the US, but in China, it's not yet popular. So, well, based on our research as showing the data we have collected, the rental housing market in China is expected to continue growing in the coming years. This also means that the home furnishing cost will still account for significant proportion of expense for rental tenants, taking a 50 square meter apartment as an example. The cost of hard furniture and on-site asset bulk accounts for half of the for renovation expense by increase the rent and reduce the labor cost assisted with on-site assembly is possible to reduce cost to some extent. Based on this situation, we have started to explore the furniture rental industry. As this page, some different countries have their different industries. They also have different measures. For example, in India, this company established in 2020 excels in the supply chain. They rent out furniture that they design and manufacture themselves. They offer package deals to the customers, deliver the furniture to their homes after placing order and take care of the installation. So they also provide some free transportation when the customers move. And if the customer no longer needs the furniture, they will also be recycled and prepared for the next rental. Also, different countries, they also have some different methods. But although the core of they have also developed for a lot of years, but in China, they is still waiting to development. So we also thought about to create this industry chain in China. This is our research data, but I have got to turn over this page. So maybe I will cut them off. This is our solution. Although the core of our business is furniture rental, but in my opinion, the core of our technology is still the function of the auto furniture layout preview, which is what sets us apart from some other agencies from other countries. We will try to use AI to intervene this channel, which will become one of our core competencies. Well, so as for us, I believe that our advantage lies on our large user base and our core algorithms. Actually, in China, there are still some furniture factories with brand new furniture in storage that may not be accepted by mainstream customers due to the design or some direction. However, I believe these pieces of furniture still maintain good quality and can be used by the customers, making them suitable for the rental industry. Because most of our customers don't have a high-paying job, so if I think they will choose it if they want to have a good quality furniture and they don't want to pay too much money for that. So this is our main surveys, and the surveys it also includes some profit which we want to do. Maybe so sorry. I think the main customers we have, of course, we also want to let the teenagers to be our main customer, but of course, this is a big system, so we also provide the furniture and the hotel or some designers as our customer. We also can provide the data to them to know which kind of the furniture will be popular in the customers, and they also can try to reduce some reduce to waste the money and some materials. I think this is also a big this also can make us system to play an important role in this industry chain. Well, maybe we can come to our technology chain. We want to use OpenCV to link with the Grasshopper. Rather than some other groups, they try to measure the major material or some furniture. We try to use it to measure the person. We want in Python, we want to use the complete the recognition to collect some users' data. Maybe we can use the page. Well, in this, obviously we will use motion capture to collect the people users' data. They will record the well, sorry. Maybe using this way, integrate a dynamic capture model to facilitate the collection of users' dynamic information within the room. This will include the amount of the time spent in different areas. This information is continuously represented by red balls in Grasshopper. This is just like the picture, the second picture. By the way, this will also forming a new dynamic graph. It's then displayed in our backend. For example, as user A's family spend a significant amount of time in the living room, just like the picture, the first picture. Indicating a preference for friends and family activities, this data will be incorporated into user A's preference. So when user A needs to rent a new place or rearrangement their living environment, our system will automatically provide them a new advance because for example, maybe we will expanding the size of the living room because in the past data, living room is the primary activity area for their family. Maybe this description maybe so somewhat abstract. So I create three simple UI pages to describe it. Maybe it's not very it's clear. So the first page is our homepage, which informs users about the service we provide, such as home recommendations, automatic furniture replacement, placement, furniture rental, and pre-arrangement of the home environment. In the second page, it allows users to input their ideal rental information, just like the budget, location, and the time which they want to stay. It will help them to proceed to the third page for more detailed selections. Sorry. So in the third page, we will recommend them some information which they write it in the page 2, just like due to the budget, they could not, maybe the budget is not very well, so they just they need to rent a a strange shape house, just like the selection B. So so we will continue to let them to show the automatic furniture display of options. It's on the second choice. We will let them to know how to replace the furniture of this new house. Although in most of the time we are also confused about I don't know how to replace my furniture because it's really strange which the shape my house has. So this also provides them a good a good advice for them to choose. So by the last choice, this is the furniture rental. This is in this part, the furniture factory will start to join it. They will provide the different kinds of furniture which they have. They also can choose to provide some furniture which cannot sold very well in the society. So in this page, I also put a choice which lists the special price. This is for people to choose it if the furniture they also can give them some other choice to have a more cheaper pay. So this is our the last presentation. I have some nervous. So sorry for that. Thank you, everyone. Well, thanks a lot.
Thank you for presenting, and it's really impressive to see how much stuff you have from like yesterday to today. And like, I don't want to know what you guys did. I don't want to know how you got here.
Oh, sorry.
Congratulations. I'll let the guys talk to you and give you their thoughts.
Continue with the same order then. Yeah, I thought it was interesting. This was definitely a different, very different direction of the technology. Like, data over time rather than in a specific place and a specific orientation and everything. And I think that the question of time here is really what's important on several levels. Firstly, in the way you're describing it, I feel like there is basically two services that are being provided. You introduce or you start off with the furniture rental idea, but then by the end is mostly about the different layouts. And that's fine. They could in one company be definitely offered as a package deal and all connected, but I feel like the technological side doesn't flow through as much, like how the movement patterns and usage patterns more directly influence the furniture choice by the end, if it does. That wasn't coming through, or maybe it's not, because right now it seems to be mostly dependent on, as you're saying, like budget and length of stay and so on, for that part. And kind of with that, I was also noticing earlier in one slide when you were talking about different possible customers, and I think that's also showing the kind of the breadth of what you're showing here, because I would call that whole list more stakeholders in this process than customers, or if they all are possibly that, it would be best to zero in on one of those, because what a designer versus what a homeowner will need and know how to use, and really what their priorities are all going to be very different. So definitely keep all those people in mind, but there's only really one of them that you should be aiming for directly. But yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for advice. It shows that our thinking is still lacking in many areas. We will continue to make it better.
I mean, it's 1 week. I understand certainly the situation. Yes.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, and I was just saying that I'm really proud of him specifically because he's one of the people that came forward to say that he came from like a very kind of like artsy and designy perspective, and this is the first time that he's actually thinking about something so realistic or market applied. So this is like a really big leap, and it's really nice to see. Like as I said, I'm really impressed that you managed to take this perspective and to like bring it to this level.
Thanks. A lot in this course.
Can I go?
Well,
first of all, congratulations. Because it's the first presentation I can see a user interface as a final product, because the previous one were really interesting, but they were not showing an interface as an app or something like that for the final user. This is the first time I can see that, and it's really interesting because you are just trying to solve how the user can apply this solution, right? And the only question I have, you are focusing your problem on the occupation rate of the spaces, right? But if you are starting a house from scratch, you have no data. You are trying to rent furniture for your first house, but how can you get the data if you have no previous spaces or you have no previous data where to collect? But instead of that, you have actually an occupation rate of the spaces you are using when you are living in the place. But I don't know how to match the occupation rate with the kind of furniture you need. Is that you are using space a lot, but it's not for me so clear how you can connect the occupation rate with the kind of furniture you need, right?
Yeah.
But it's quite impressive to build it in 1 week, and I'm really like your product. Thank you. Congratulations.
Oh, yeah. Thanks. Because I really have a degree in interaction design, so I want to add some interaction factor in this. Thank you for advice.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting product. Or I was just wondering how, well, I don't think you mentioned it, how you were planning to track the like occupation patterns in the space, like if you were trying to do it physically. I don't know if yeah, I don't know how you were thinking of applying that.
Yeah, actually, I didn't thought about it very clearly. It's also a big problem in this project.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm so sorry about that.
No, it was interesting, and I think that the whole idea of matching profiles to the type of furniture required by the user is a very cool concept. Also for the households, like it helps providing that specific information.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I agree. And also, I think this project is really interesting. And also, you are the first person and try to decide the person and inside the room. And also, because I saw the last students is used the color, also shape of the thing to detect. I think that one is really interesting. But the gap is also between to how you can to match the person into the space. So that one is should be maybe I'm a little bit confused about this part. So how you can to connect, how you can to connect you select the people and also you how to connect to go through the space and how you can to affect the space or something. I was not really clear about that.
I also think I also thought this problem, but it still be solved. I also think it has some route to make a camera in someone's house to look some other's life.
Yeah, but maybe scanning is not even necessary because if you get enough information from the user's lifestyle, you could also like provide suggestions for possible furniture and like iteration of possible layouts so that it doesn't have to be that complex.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and also maybe I saw some examples about this one, and you not necessary to use a camera, or you can use Wi-Fi or else something to link. You just grab that data.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
useful.
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
it's an interesting idea. Yeah. I
can,
never thought about this.
Yeah, maybe you can think about the some papers about to use the Wi-Fi or some to grab the data or something. Maybe you can try to think about that, and also that one to combine. I can combine with the behavior and also the space. Yeah, I think you can further and deeply to research this idea actually.
Yeah, thanks. Well, it's really important advice. I will record it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I really have a big improvement in this space. Well, so should I stop sharing my screen? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thanks, everyone. Yeah, it really gets a big important.
So, hi everyone. I think I'm the last group, right? So let me share the screen. Can you see my screen? Okay, great. Hi everyone, it's great to see you today. My name is Jingxian Huang. No, sorry, it's not about this. It's nice. And this is my project Tile Manager, which is mainly about material stories. The aim of the project is helping material suppliers and homeowners save on material during renovation. In China, The average waste produced per decorated household is 2 tons, accounting for 15% of total construction waste. Unfortunately, the recycling rate of these materials is only at 0.6%, resulting in a substantial amount of being sent to landfills. These wastes not only contribute to pollution, but also represent missed opportunities for resources recovery and cost savings. Throughout the renovation cycle, construction waste is generated at every step. Of this construction waste, things like wood, sheet rocks, plastic, and metal are recyclables. But bricks and tiles are non-recyclable waste and are rarely reused and restored by homeowner after renovation. There is also a strong relationship between material waste and worker factors. Firstly, the wrong estimation of material causes the owner to buy excessive amount of material. Secondly, the psychological factor. Workers think that there is a lot of material, so it can be used without planning. And thirdly, the technical problem causes rework during construction. Lastly, the improper preservation of material. From these stories, we can identify several ways to reduce materials waste throughout the entire renovation cycle. Firstly, materials can be initially estimated and prepared more accurately. And also materials, it can be reused when possible. And also minimizing on-site material handling during construction is crucial. It's evident that tiles can be a preferred choice of materials due to their quantifiable natures, ease of storage, lack of expiration dates, and most of importantly, their value in being reusable despite being non-recyclable. All we need is a transparent material calculator and a database of available material and already cut corner tiles. So our clients, it could be an integrated design and material production company that possess multiple industrial chains, including material production. Material here, I would like to give an example of this company. They produce materials, recycle materials, and use materials at the same time, like this good looking texture bricks was formed by recycling these discard tiles next to it. And also these tables, it was also made by scrap tiles. Therefore, I just propose here to reduce the waste of tile material in the decoration process by reintegrating the whole chain. Our clients, it can be company just mentioned, while our end users are those who with house in need of renovation, requiring calculation of materials, and also potential customers for those materials. What we need is a platform to better this movement, a platform that can serve both suppliers and consumers, which is Tile Manager. And here is the process. When the end user needs to determine the materials to buy for home decoration, they open the app and get a tile plan and material calculation. And maybe after that, buying from the company. The manufacturer companies receive the order and also receive all shaped tile that the user needs. So they cut the tile from the stock reused material in the shapes that the customer wants. After that, they send a tile to a customer's home for installation. At the same time, some redundant materials will be produced, which the companies can also recycle it and incorporate into the material library by sorting. So in the whole process, the tile waste is reduced. There are three major tech issues involved in the material recovery life cycle. The first is to measure the room to get the data of dimensions, get the floor plan, and then get the tile arrangement. Here, 3D scanning, tile fitting algorithm is involved. The second tech issue is how to cut out old shaped tile. Contour matching is needed here. And the third technique is how to implement tile classification, which means that classification rules need to be developed. We need a tile database. This section deals with the hypothesis how redundant tiles are sorted and then form their own database after being recycled to the factory. At the beginning, they are detected and then sorted for size. The tiles are too small, like this one. It may be screened out, and tiles of different size. It may be grouped into like size A, size B, and size C in that order. After this pattern detection is performed to identify the tiles of different materials for secondary numbering. When the customer places an order from the app and send the information of tiles that needs to be cut, at first the tile it will be classified by the outer contour of the size. For example, the tile that is needed is classified as size C. Therefore, in order to get the tile that can be called the size C tile in the database, it will be customized and then outline match is performed, after which is cut. The scrub generated after cutting and can still be detected by size and make recycled. This part is about tile auto layouts, and it was mocked up in Grasshopper. The tech issue it overcome right now is that the grid of tiles it must be able to change dynamically in order to over plans of different size. While difficulties still face is that now I have layouts of the bricks and I have the numbering of the tiles, but the numbering is greater than the number of tile I actually need. Because many aged tiles, they don't actually need a whole tile like Rose Corner one. They can be taken from materials left over after another aged tile is cut. It's mainly about an algorithm problem. And here I come to the final part of the application mockup. Many about some core functions for the users. Like the first one, at the very first, they can view and create 3D scan model. By clicking this button, they may get into the camera to scan the room. And after that, they may get a plan. And after getting the plan, it may input the tile information. Tile plan, it would automatically generate it. They could just type in the width and size generated. And the third is get the exact number of floor tiles needed. Also get a quantity of auxiliary materials. And this one, it may be add the list of material to cart and purchase them directly from the suppliers. So that's all the ideas I right now have. Thank you very much. Reflection, jump in.
First of all, this is all the ideas you just have. Are you kidding me? This is awesome. Jeez. Okay, like you left this like thing for the end, and most of the stuff from before I kind of knew, and then I saw this and I was like, oh my god, what happened here? Okay, it's amazing. I'm really impressed. I'm gonna shut up and let the other people talk.
I think this product is ready. No, I think it's a very simple, very good application for a very common issue. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's time to call investors.
Yeah, I'm raising my hand. Okay, I'm really happy to see this mockup because I'm really focused on the final user and to make the things easier for the final user. Also, I was thinking about that it could be really great if you can add also not only the scan, but the blueprints could be really great to help the designers because you are focusing on the final user who didn't have an architect involved in the process and they have to scan or maybe they are refurbishing a house that already they had, but it could be really useful also if you can integrate with BIM using the blueprints and you can send all the pieces to cut like when you are assemble a CNC pavilion that you are numbering all the pieces and you are sending all the pieces numbered like a puzzle to the place. Could be a really speed up for the construction site because the time you have to take to cut every single custom piece for the corners of these really weird shaped rooms is taking a lot of time for workers to shape this kind of tiles in these weird shapes. And I think that could be a really great way to integrate with our profession. It's a really good tool to speed up our job. I really like it. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think you could also collaborate with the furniture rental team.
Furniture. Yeah, right. I think we have a lot of group in the workshop. We almost do the same field things, and I think it may be a great opportunity. So if we cooperate together, and also I have some feedback for the designer ideas. In fact, I think designers' ideas are good, and also there, I think if it could combine with to resell the materials they left in the construction site, like maybe there can be also a marketplace for the users to sell materials to another users to in another way to save the material.
Yeah, that's also very interesting.
So yeah, as everyone's been saying, I think the user side and the front end side is making a lot of sense with this right now. And in your mockups at the end, I especially like that you mentioned the like possible 3D scans of the room, because I think this particular kind of thing, like where you really care about the footprint you're occupying, is like actually a practical use for these lighter things that are getting built in phones nowadays, and everyone thinks they're kind of cool, but no one knows what they're for yet. Yeah, so interesting there. also wanted to just leave a couple of thoughts about the what it might take for the back-end implementation, or say the operations implementation of this kind of thing. And it may not be something that would be on your company here to solve, but someone would need to solve it for this to work. And like the first of that is the storage of these things. I mean, that's always an issue when you're dealing with a reused product on any scale. Because say if like one of these tile manufacturers has 30 materials and 6 colors each and 4 standard sizes, et cetera, et cetera. And now for each of these, they suddenly also have to hold and keep track of all these very unique pieces. And on a digital side, no problem. It's just the outlines and the database. But then somewhere there's got to be a warehouse that's where you can easily access and quickly access all of these unique pieces and keep track of them. And it adds a lot of complexity on the back end. But also once it gets to the site, there's some issues with this kind of very finely matched design to materials question, where say if like you deliver a pallet of these tiles with 50 normal ones and 30 that you found from your stock kind of match, then suddenly those 30 are very, very important. And like if one of them breaks in transport, or if it's lost or just miscounted or whatever, how is that going to affect the people who have to use it down the line? And it might just be they grab a new one from the pile and cut it down in a slower fashion. But it does kind of change how each of these pieces of inventory gets dealt with. But as I said, that's maybe the problem of someone else in the supply chain. So very interesting from a users and a front-end perspective. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I also think about this one is really interesting because I can see it's a really have a really strong potential in the future, because when you two use the material and also the designers company will be, if you use this one, they will save a lot of materials. And also I was thinking maybe if you want to deeply to think about it, you can see the difference between the materials, and different materials, maybe you can have a different saving method. I'm not really sure that, but maybe you can go more details and deeply to think about different materials, and you can also have a different materials, for example, timber, and also different materials company can also to use this app, or some doing their save the materials or something. Yeah, but I think that I really want to see the futures about this app.
Thank you very much. Looks like I need to cooperate with another 2 groups.
Well done, everyone.
Goodbye.
Thank you for inviting us.
Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you.
就是这个模型呢，顶上一个箭头，底下一个这个